So my birdcage plans are ready, or at least right now, the plans for the birdcage armchair are ready. Just in another month or two, the side chair will be ready, and then the bar stool, and then a rocker version of this chair right here will all be available. So this will be the video just introducing you to the chair and to the plans of what they look like, what they entail. And then I'll also be filming some short YouTube videos on some of the most difficult aspects of making this chair, because oddly enough, it's kind of a sleeper chair. It's the most difficult chair that I make, and we'll get into why. But so the birdcage chair came about 1800, and it obviously was influenced by the influence that happened in other furniture from Asia, and so I just think it's one of the finest Windsors ever made. My version of it came about in 1992, and that was this chair right here. In fact, this exact chair was the prototype, and it's changed a little bit over the years in details, but the general shape is exactly the same. And the armchair and the bar stool came a little bit later. At any rate, a few of the things I'll just go over real quick. What makes it more difficult than some of the Windsors that you may have built before is that it's just requires more accuracy. It's less forgiving. You've got a box stretcher down here instead of an H stretcher, and the box stretcher system's more rigid, and you have to just nail it a little more accurate. Up here you've got a bent post. Here you rotate this post to 32nd down here, and it's off a ½ inch up here. So also these two rails have to match because they're so close together, and if they're off a little bit, then it'll throw these spindles off, and other things too. The spindles are bent, and then boring this arm rail. But I'll shoot I don't know how many videos it's going to entail, maybe 6 or 7, something like that. I won't be showing any of the part making or general information. All that I've put up. I've got 120 YouTube videos up showing that on other chairs, and so with the plans you could figure out from those videos how to make all the parts. But so I'll just be showing the unique, most difficult parts on this chair. Okay, well, let's go over to the board and I'll show you what the plans look like. Okay, so like I said just a minute ago, the plans that I have ready right now are for the birdcage armchair, and I'll show them to you. But the side chair and the bar stool are going to be the same. It'll be the same number of pages, and you know, everything else just a tad bit just different because it's a different chair. So this is elevation page, and it's half scale. You know, and while it's accurate and you could measure off of it, you should never measure off of the plans. You should look and see what the dimensions are that are listed on the plans. Up here I've got a parts list, and it shows what the rough would be, what green, because mostly I do use green wood on these, and what the dry measurements will be to try to eliminate any confusion on that. And then here I show for the arm support, the front leg and the rear leg and the post, I show you what the rake and splay are on all those, and the resultant and the siding angles are. So you'll better understand what the angles are on the chair. And if you do desire, that gives you the ability to change them too. So let's see, anything else on there of notable interest? I don't guess. I guess I'll go to another page. So here's the template page, and I've got a white sheet under it because it's actually on Mylar, so it's a durable template once you cut it out. It's 4 mil Mylar, and you can see through it, which has its advantages too. Of course, the white doesn't come all the way down, so you can't see the bottom of that, but doesn't matter. So here's the post bending form, and I'll be showing you all of these forms in the videos that I'm going to shoot. So you'll be able to see how I've made them and what that notch is for and what this taper is for and that. So anyway, here's the post and the upper crest and the lower crest. They'll look almost identical to you, but they're not. The lower crest is very slightly tighter than the upper crest, and like I said a minute ago, it has to be accurate, so it has to be close. The relationship is what's important between the two, not necessarily that exact bend. It's the relationship between this and this that has to be right. We'll get into that. Spindle bending down here, right there at the bend is where the groove goes. Then we have the seat template with a whole lot of information on it, and I'll be explaining that information too, or most of that information. Some of it you might be familiar with is more general stuff, but I'll be explaining some of it. And then here's the arm template. Okay, we'll go and look at the turnings page then. So here's the turning page, and oddly enough, it's got the turnings on it. You can imagine that. Now the spindles are not really turnings; they're split and shade. You could turn them if you wanted to, but I don't. Let's see what's unique on this thing. Well, the post is you know, I turn the post and then I bend it, and you're putting the bend right where the largest diameter is and right where you put a V-groove. Not optimum for bending, but it works, and that's where I want the bend, and you can't turn it after you bend it, so that's what I do. And this little detail up here is important. This shoulder is undercut so you can fit that false miter better. You get a sharp edge right up there on the outside of that shoulder, so it can take up a little bit of inaccuracy in that joint and seal that joint. For the upper crest rail, you'll see it's got these knobs on the outside. Now that's what that cutout in that bending form that I showed you in the last one was. It's for those knobs to go into. You need these knobs to be able to carve the false miter on it, because you got to have some extra meat there. So when you turn that, you leave 1 1/4 inch knobs on that, and then of course the lower crest is just, you know, straight across. Let's see, that is about. So this is full scale. Like I said, you can measure off of it, but I wouldn't. I would read the measurements that are listed on it. Okay, well I guess that's it for this, and we'll go to the next page. Here's the page with the seat contours, and so they're 1/8 inch increments. It shows exactly how I carved that seat, and the way I get this is I laminate, well first I take 1/8 inch veneers and paint them black, and then I laminate them and carve the seat and then take a picture of it, and so we get exactly how it is that I carve it. So and then on this page also is what I call the recipe, and you know, it's to break this thing down to where it's digestible. It's a little overwhelming, and it's like, well, where do I start with this thing? And so it's just like cooking. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. So the first thing you do is rive out oak and hickory spindles, and so on and so forth. And then all the way down to the last one, which is sit in it. That was input from Elia Bazari. He thought you had to sit in it after you made it, so that's good. Okay, so that's about all there is to that one, and then I've got a 5th page with these, which I don't have with any of my other plans. I'll show you what it is. Okay, so here's the page I'm excited to show you, because those of you who have plans of mine know that this is a new edition, and the reason why is because this chair is difficult, and I felt I needed to have illustrations showing the most difficult part. And these were drawn by Allison Parker, friend of mine in town. So first off, in figure 1, we get orientation marks on the back of those bent posts. And here's the way, so this is going to be the first video right here, is showing this and how I ring for the post and set it. And then this would be for the false miter over here, measuring the angles first, and then setting up to bore that crest rail with a couple of mirrors there. And then boring for the lower crest is pretty straightforward, but I still felt I wanted to show it. And then boring for the arm is fairly straightforward too, but a nice little trick there where I use a dummy in the arm support to do that. So I'll be showing all of these steps in some YouTube videos, plus a couple more. I'll probably show you how to assemble the undercarriage since it's a little trickier, and I might show you how to carve the false miter. Probably will. We'll just see where I get on everything. So okay, that's plans. Okay, so I forgot to tell you how to get the plans. Forget stuff like that. You can go to my website, to the store page, and I think I got 8 other sets up there, but the Birdcage is up there. Like I said, the Birdcage armchair is up there right now, and the Birdcage side chair and bar stool and rocker are soon to follow.